Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of Qalb-e-Quran. Now, today, inshallah, we do want to talk about the special night of Qadr. As we all know, these are the most important nights in the most important month. So we are already in these really nights of Qadr, which we say are nights of power, nights of destiny. And since childhood, we've all been involved in the understanding the value of this night better than 1,000 nights. But just wanted to reflect on really what is the Quranic perspective and the Ahlul Bayt's perspective of these nights. And there have been questions, people have been saying, we are trying to do Amal and be really spiritual from the beginning of the month of Ramadan. And just when we feel like we have now entered these big nights and we need the maximum energy, we are starting to feel a little dip in our spirituality. There's physical exhaustion from fasting and everything. So a lot of people are feeling guilty for not being able to, for example, stay up all night in prayers, or when we are listening to dua, Abu Hamza Thumali, for example, it's a long dua. It takes an hour. So sometimes you find yourself, you're pushing it through, but you're not really able to concentrate and understand. And yet these are the nights, when everything is compounded in reward. So we don't want to waste it too. So just a kind of a discussion and to look into what is the best way to spend these nights so that we take the maximum out of it. And we have with us, as usual, our sisters who will help us understand and shed light on these very important subjects tonight, inshallah. So we have with us Sister Shairoz Dala. Zakira Shairoz Dala is an Islamic scholar joining us from Canada. And we also have with us Sister Uzma Naqvi, and she's a holistic transformational life coach based here in the UK. Assalamu alaikum, sisters.
Alaikum assalam
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, we have made it into these amazing nights, and just that is enough. If we were to sit down and thank Allah for His blessings, just the fact that we have entered this, and now that we've got enough life and ability to be able to be present in these nights is such a huge blessing. But Sister Shairoz, we call these nights nights of power. These are nights of destiny. Since childhood, we went to madrasas, and when we were told these nights are like 1,000 nights. But, as you grow in life, the meaning of what anything important is starts to take on a different shape. And a lot of times what you thought, for example, 5 years ago was the most important thing changes. And so we are addressing people tonight who are in different phases in life. And, we want to be able to really bring in this importance of this night for different people in different walks of life, whatever they are going through. So being Quran and Atik, what does Quran, first of all, tell us about this night? And apart from that, we're talking about our Quran and Atik, our imams, our prophets. What have they said about Shab-e-Qadr nights?
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And mashallah, truly an amazing opportunity to be alive during these nights. There's so many people who have left us. They were with us last year and they're no longer here. And truly we need to feel grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the gift of life. In anything in life, it's easy to get exhausted. It's easy to feel desensitized. It's easy to feel something is not so important, even though it's very precious. We start to take it for granted. We need to wake up and jolt ourselves, push ourselves. And the beauty of this religion is that in every phase of life, it takes on a new flavor for us. That which we did when we were children seemed a little bit ritualistic. We were just doing it because we were told to do it. Now, inshallah, as the difficulties in life come, these things take a new flavor. Now we need God. And then as we go forward, now we're doing it because we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we're doing it because we are craving, inshallah. That's the progression of taqwa that should be happening in our lives. And just to take a moment to realize how incredible this night is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. We sent the Quran on this night, the biggest gift Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And then this question that is supposed to make us crave to understand it. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. What will you know what this night of Qadr is? And remember, the sixth Imam has told us, and the other Imams have told us as well, that there's a taweel meaning to this. But what will you know what is this night of Qadr? The mystery of this night is also about the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. What will you know who Bibi Fatima alayha salam is, what she is? And just like the night of Qadr is hidden in the various nights of Mahi Ramadan, Bibi Fatima alayha salam, we don't know where she's buried. We don't know her true maqam, her true daraja, her of who she is. This night also, no matter how much we try to understand it, we won't be able to truly grasp how incredible this is, that this is a night of decree. Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alf shahr. 1,000 months. The math is staggering. It's impossible. And basically, it's supposed to be timeless. This basically supposed to give us that feeling of you cannot calculate it. It's just exponentially too much. And then this idea that the angels and the spirit, the Ruhul Qudus, Tanazzulul Malaikatu wa Ruhu fiha bi izni rabbihim min kulli amr. These angels are descending upon this earth. Let's feel it. They are with us. They are taking account. They are witnessing that we tried. We tried to do as much ibadat as possible. And then that feeling that God is giving us salamun hayya hatta matla al-fajr. They are descending till the emergence of dawn. What is that emergence of dawn? Again, the tawil of this ayah, when the sixth Imam tells us this is about the Imam al-Fajr. Until Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahum Sharif comes, and he is very much witnessing and is very much taking account of what we're doing. It's a unique night. Our destiny absolutely is changed on this night. And it does depend on how much we utilize it, how much we understand it. And the Masumeen alayhi have explained to us, Allah has planned these systems of the universe in such a way that our destiny is actually determined on a yearly basis. And in these angelic spheres through the agency of Imam Zamana, Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajum Sharif. So it's a very beautiful system. Everything's working together, and then there's not just predestination. There is a free will here where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us an opportunity to change our destiny with our salah, with the sadaqah, with acquiring knowledge, the recitation of the Holy Quran. And the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained about this night that just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored Jummah over all the other days of the week, similarly in the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen this month over all the months. And then in that month, that Laylatul Qadr is over all the nights. And subhanAllah, the Holy Quran was revealed on this day. And it's important to know that it was revealed as a whole during this night of Qadr. And then it was revealed along the span of more than 20 years, as the sixth Imam has explained to us. So it has been revealed in this month, in this day, and then slowly for humans to understand it, it came over a span of 20 years. It's an incredible opportunity indeed. Let us make the most of it. And often when you're running a marathon, the last leg of that journey does feel exhausting. And it feels like it's too far. I can't do it. And maybe I should give up. And then you see others who are running and they're getting that second wind. Let's be energized by the people around us and let's push it and let's get to the finish line and be inspired by each other.
As usual, Sister Shairoz, you have a way of really inspiring and, giving us the energy to go forward and, move along. And, these nights, apart from it, whether it's a coincidence, we can discuss it. Of course, nothing is coincidence when Allah has really planned it. But the fact that, these nights of Qadr, as we start the 19th, so there is this, real happiness in our hearts in a way, because you feel this energy of this these special nights, and yet at the same time we are entering into these months with these days with mourning, because these are the nights of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And the fact that Imam Ali alayhi salam's commemoration and that martyrdom is associated with Laylatul Qadr, there is obviously a big lesson for those who want to look into or understand the personality of Imam Ali himself. So I think we would be failing in our duty if we did not address, Imam Ali, who is also Natiq-e-Quran. I mean, there's the Quran is the book, and then there is the Imams and Imam Ali alayhi salam. So, Sister Uzma, I wanted to ask you, in terms of Imam Ali, what is it that, Imam Ali is a whole university by itself, but there is, for each of us, we take things from him that become very personal to ourselves. For you, what is it that speaks to you the most when we talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam?
I am overwhelmed that you asked me this question. I hope I can do it justice. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Once again, jazakallah khair for having me here. It's wonderful to be a part of this amazing opportunity. I'm going to give you 3 quotes of Imam Ali alayhi salam in this, and I'll try to be as quick as possible to do justice to time as well. But there is one quote, which I'm sure if you know me well, you'll know which quote, first and foremost, I will go to. But it was quite literally life-changing for me because it saved me. And that's not an exaggeration. It actually saved me from the end of my life. And one of the hardest days of my life, among many others, but one of the hardest days of my life, I remember driving to the countryside and standing on top of the highest rock that I could possibly climb, and literally screamed my heart out until I had no sound left in me anymore. And I was screaming because I was at the end of everything. I had had enough in my life. I was done, exhausted. And I remember saying to Allah, looking up, crying, that I complained to him that he couldn't hear me, even though he claims to be as-Sami'. And he couldn't see me, even though he claims to be al-Basir. And he couldn't love me, even though he claims to be al-Wadud. So I had some real complaints to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I really felt that he hated me, hated my existence. Even though his most common attribute is Ar-Rahman, I didn't feel that, and this is the truth. Like, this is how I felt. So I shouted as much as I could, and I honestly had no sound left in me, and I cried until I had no tears left in me. And I left that place asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show me if it's true that he can hear me, if it's true that he sees me, if it's true that he loves me, then show me. And I went. I've actually written about this particular part of my life in a book which was launched last November. Alhamdulillah, it was a best-selling book on Amazon. It is available if anybody wants to get their hands on it, called The Transformation Within. Anyway, that day I went home completely depleted, lifeless, devastated in so many ways. And after sorting out the kids and whatever I needed to do, I went to bed. And I remember feeling exhausted, but at the same time, I couldn't stop crying. And I started to scroll on my phone, as you do. And on the social media, I came across the quote. And I had read this quote so many times before. And it was one of those quotes that, you look at and you're like, oh, that's really nice. It gives you a little bit something, but it was never something that really touched me at a deep level. But I came across this quote when I had asked the most important question of my existence, my personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, where are you in my life? Why am I suffering so much? Why do I feel like this is my destiny? And I came across the quote that literally hit me like a train on my face. And the quote, again, if you know me, you'll know which one it is, but the quote of Imam Ali alayhi salam, where he says, your sickness is from you, but you do not perceive it. And your remedy is within you, but you do not sense it. You presume you're a small entity, but within you is enfolded the entire universe. Therefore, you have no need to look beyond yourself. What you seek is within you, if only you reflect. And it was like, wait, what? Because I had asked the exact questions about why is this happening to me? And I certainly knew and I could feel that there was sickness inside of me, but I had no idea that the remedy was anywhere close to me, because I was in that victimhood mode of everyone is abusive towards me, everyone hates me, everyone treats me badly, I'm abused and misused and abandoned and all of those things. And this quote was the thing that really jolted me out of my sleep in a very, very profound and hard way. And I can't tell you the whole story. The rest is, as they say, history. But it really did change my perspective and set me on a track to really find out, what does it mean to have sickness inside of me? What does it mean to find a remedy within me? What does it mean to find a universe? What is that universe? And you know, this is the very quote that I use to help women in our communities. And I work to help them awaken their souls and to help them meet themselves at their most authentic selves, to fall deeply in love with themselves and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think when it comes to my relationship with Imam Ali alayhi salam, there was always something really, really special. You know, among the Ahlul Bayt, there is always one entity that is yours. You know, the one that you kind of hear about and it's like that's yours. They're all special, but sometimes you have a very special association. Imam Ali Islam is definitely one of those for me. The second quote, very quickly, because I know I've taken a lot of time, so I do apologize about that. Imam Ali Islam says, "May God have mercy on one who knows where from, in what, and to where. A person who knows where they came from, what their origin is, how they came into this world, the ultimate love, from the alim arwah to the fact that we said labbaik to this life, we accepted the challenge of elevating our status, and from that realm to this realm. In what? Why are we here? Why was this energy given to us? Why are these senses given to us that allows me to discover the secrets of this universe, to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the powers and the potential and the free will and the tools to expand my consciousness and to do this journey in the best way possible? And how do I take those steps? And to where? Where am I headed? What is happening now that is going to have an impact after my death? You know, and it's just so amazing to me to look at some of these quotes that really kind of change everything, change your perspective in how you look at. And the very third quick quote that I want to share as well is that there is a famous conversation that happened between Imam Ali alayhi salam and one of his companions. I'm forgetting his name, but he basically asked him that, do you see God? And he said, woe be upon you that you think I would worship a God that I cannot see. Right? He said, have you seen God? And he said, how could I worship a God that I cannot see? Right? And this is what he's talking about, the spiritual heart, which is what we referred to in a lot of depth in the last session. So to wrap it up, I think that when a person like that, we have a blessing to know and to understand even one segment of him, because we cannot fathom him. We cannot understand the depth of him. But if we can take the time to understand just like one quote of his, but really do it properly, it will change your life. I promise you.
Isn't it also overwhelming? Of course, we all understand, you know, when we talk about, for example, Imam Ali and all our Aimma, we know that these were not ordinary human beings. I mean, these are special representative, you know, they've got divine attributes within them, not that we connect them to be, you know, anything equal to God. But you know, when in today's era, for example, when you talk about these sayings of Imam Ali and how you've been able to use them into your own life and then create a whole, you know, industry sort of, which merges with today's concepts of life coaching. To think that Imam Ali said all these centuries back, this information that today, you know, like it's now being recognized and people are doing research on this topic. But we have this amazing wisdom and gems from our imams that have been hidden for all these centuries, and we've not been able to really understand them until we are starting to understand some of the things. And of course, there are a lot more which we have not even tapped into yet. I mean, how do we do justice to personalities like that by taking their letting people know about them? Because sometimes, I actually sit down and I feel like such a huge burden. I mean, personally, this is what I feel like. I feel like there's this huge burden on my shoulder that when Allah asks me tomorrow, you knew all these things, and there are people out there in the world who are looking for light. There is so much trouble in the world today. People are going through all sorts of mental health, as you know quite well, Sister Uzma, and they're looking for a mission in their lives. And we've got all this material with us, and yet there is very limited things that we want to do or we are doing with it. On these nights of Qadr, how can we make a resolution that we are genuinely, we're going to do a little bit of justice to a personality like Imam Ali by taking this forward?
Is this to me or
any of you?
I think we're doing, mashallah, we're doing an effort, aren't we? Like doing these kinds of programs, but also, mashallah, us coming to the mosque as well. Like it creates this question: who is being commemorated today? Just like people ask who is Hussein when they see us coming in millions to the shrines. So I remember last night, I mean, there was no parking at our mosque. It was, people were spilling out into the streets, and you could see people slowing down to see what's going on. Why is everyone dressed in black? So more than a burden, this is an amazing opportunity, and especially in this era when we have the social media at our fingertips, etc., that we can do amazing things, and we will, and inshallah we are. And 60 Imams, beautiful hadith comes to mind: call people to your faith by means not of your tongue, but by your actions, by what we do. So inshallah, we will inspire people enough that they will say, who is this God that you, if the creation is so good, wow, your creator must be amazing. Who do you believe in? Who do you follow? So inshallah, we can be great examples too, and make a change out there.
Definitely. And now bringing in the same issue of Imam Ali, Sister Shairoz, we call him Imam Natik. Now, this is a concept that we hear a lot in majalises, for example. But, it can be controversial because there are some people who will say to you, how can you equate, the personality of, human being to Quran, and especially in today's era when we have to, we get on the social media, you get bombarded a lot with the personality of Imam Ali, because there's a lot of false belief out there that we worship Imam Ali, that we sort of give him the level of the prophet, which we don't. Of course, we don't. But he is Imam Natik, Quran Natik. I want to understand really, what do we mean by that, and what kind of parallels are there between Imam Ali and Quran, and the fact that Quran was revealed in these same nights that we, speak of Imam Ali. He was martyred in this month and left saying that, Fustu bi Rabbil Kaaba, I've been successful. So help us connect this Quran Samit and Quran Natik.
Well, anyone who is doing anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, anyone who is following the faith at any time, if you see someone, for example, even forgiving someone who is doing an act of charity, they are doing actually dhikrullah. When you do something that Allah has commanded you, you are speaking of God. By your actions, you are showing you're doing dhikr of God. So those people who have really taken on their faith deeply are examples for us all, right? And then you've got the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the ultimate teacher, who was the speaking Quran. Al-Quran al-Natik means the speaking Quran, and definitely the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the speaking Quran. He was the one who was teaching it. He was the one who was explaining it to the people as soon as it came from the heavens, from Hazrat Jibreel. So he was the speaking Quran, and this is why Imam Ali alayhi salam. There's this famous khutbah of Imam Ali alayhi salam called Qudba-e-Ma'rifat-e-Nuraniya, the recognition of Nur. And he tells his companions, he's telling Salman, he's telling Jundab, Abu Dhar, he's saying that in his time, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the speaking, the Natiq Quran. And I was the Samit, the silent. So then after him, what happened is that then it was passed on to Imam Ali alayhi salam. But he mentions in this khutbah that during every era, both the Natiq and the Samit are present. There's a silent Quran and there's a talking Quran. So you've got the Quran that's right there, that is, we've got Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahum Sharif right now as well, who is the talking, walking Quran. He is here as a personality who we can look up to. And the concept of there is nothing blasphemous or nothing actually sacrilegious or anything like that to say that these are the Shia Imams are, because of their proximity to the Holy Quran. They are the custodians of the Quranic message and its interpretation. They are the embodiment of the Quranic values and its ideals. We look up to people who are beautiful slaves of God. So who better than Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? Who better than Mawla Ali, Imam al-Muttaqi, the Imam of all the people of Taqwa? He was the best that there could be. And he himself has explained that, the Holy Prophet ﷺ is the warner and I'm the one who guides. He is the Lord of Jannah, I'm the Lord of return, the Rajat. He is the Lord of the Hawz-e-Kawthar, and I am the standard bearer, the Sahib-e-Lawal. It's a very beautiful sermon worth looking at, where he describes his own qualities so that we can understand. So he definitely was the Quran Natiq and was blessed with this honor to be martyred in the night of Qadr. So the nights of Qadr always were the nights of Qadr. And then Imam Ali alayhi salam, Allah blesses him with this blessing of going back to his Lord at the night when the Quran was revealed. SubhanAllah, it's a very beautiful expression of love from the beloved to his lover, to his loved. And so there is on the night of asking, there's this association of Imam Ali alayhi salam with it. And this famous title we're talking, the Quran and Natiq, is it makes absolute sense, because we know in the hadith of Thaqalain, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I'm leaving two precious things. I'm leaving you the Holy Quran and my Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So when they're mentioned in the same sentence, they are there's the Quran and then there's the walking, talking Quran, and they should be, because they have to teach us. They have to be the guide. We should be able to look at them unequivocally without any question. And this is why the Imams would say that if you have a hadith that you are wondering if we really said it, then go and look at the Holy Quran, and you will find a Quranic ayah that mirrors that. And that's how you know that definitely we have said that, because we see nothing other than what the Quran says, right? So alhamdulillah. And of course the Prophet says that they don't separate these two, the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, until you meet me at the fountain of Kawthar. And of course then there's the hadith of that Bibi Salama had quoted from the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that Ali is with the Quran and the Quran is with Ali, and they shall never separate from one another until they reach me on the fountain. So definitely the Imam Ali alayhi salam was the Quran and Natiq, and Imam Ali alayhi salam himself has said, ask me before you lose me. And when he said that, he was he said that I am the one who can help you interpret because I know all the context of the revolution. He said that if you ask me a question and I have to judge, I can give you a verdict to the people of Tawrat according to their Tawrat. And they'll say Ali is true, he has not lied. And then when the people of Injil come, I will give them a verdict from their Injil. And then the people of Quran, when they come, I will give them a verdict from the Quran. And none of them will be able to say Ali has not told the truth. They'll say Ali is true, he has not lied. And he says, you read the Quran at night as well as day. Is there anyone among you who knows what was revealed? If it had not been for a verse in the book of Allah, I would have informed you of what has happened in the past and what will happen and what shall happen until the day of judgment. I give you the tawil, I give you what day it was revealed, how it was revealed, and I am the embodiment of what the Holy Quran is in my actions and in my words.
MashaAllah, it just makes you really fall in love with this Imam and, want to really study him more, learn more about him. And I think these are the nights of Shab-e-Qadr when we are starting to make these kind of resolutions. And probably this is one of the things, that we need to think about, that there's such a lot of depth to this man. And the more we study him, inshallah, Allah, it brings us closer to Quran and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Now, talking of our resolutions, of Shab-e-Qadr, and I don't know if this is common practice, but that's what I usually always think, that, the way we make New Year resolutions, this is the night when you make your resolution, because we believe that we are cleansed, and Allah gives us another opportunity. Our destiny is being discussed. So it's time for us to start all over again and, freshen up. And so there are things that we need to be really reflecting on in terms of where we are going in the next 1 year, what our plans are, what our thoughts are. Now comes the question of what I said initially, that, there is so much we want to do. I mean, there are du'as that we've learned since childhood. We have to recite Josh and Kabir, which, by the way, is an amazing, amazing dua, really. And there's so much amal you want to do. And each of them have value, because when you read these words of the Ahlul Bayt, I mean, they're really, the connection it gives you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just so immense. But then there is this aspect of, we are human beings and we get tired, and you can't sit and just continuously recite, or you physically get tired of standing up in prayer. And at the same time, you want to be able to also make these resolutions and think and focus. And Sister Uzma, it seems like there is so much we want to do in these, few nights that we have. How do we focus, and what do you personally, in your own manner, how do you think that you connect to Allah, and how would you advise for us to be able to focus on our resolutions and our connection with Allah on these special nights?
Jazakallah khair for this beautiful question, a vast question, and one that every single individual will answer in their own way, because everyone is in their own journey and in their own pathway of how they are seeing this day and what they believe of it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, nothing, no heaven and earth, no mountains, nothing will encompass me but the heart of the believer. And so when we look at it like that, and also that I am to my believer how he or she sees me. If we have these two as a caveat, whatever you hold within yourself about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what's manifesting within this night for you. I think that, having said that, we need to shed the guilt and the shame that we carry, because it doesn't serve anything. And, the only entity that actually will benefit from this kind of a loss is shaitan at the end of the day, because we've been robbed of something that's just so golden, that an opportunity that is so rare. It comes once a year. We don't know if we're going to be here. Like Zakra Shairo says earlier, there are many that aren't amongst us that they were last year. So these nights are an opportunity for reformation more than recitation, although I don't want to take away from the recitation. I think I've said this too many times, and I don't want to come across as somebody who's telling you not to read from the Holy Quran and not to read from the du'as, because that would be incredibly wrong of me. There are recommended a'mal because they have an absolute weight to them, and they are there for a reason, and our Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have recommended them. So who the hell am I to say, don't do those? But I'm just saying that if it's carrying so much guilt and shame that it's actually weighing you down, that it's robbing you of your intimate moments, the authentic conversations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the one who controls absolutely everything, then you want to weigh it up a little bit. Just have a time to ponder on how you feel, because that is essentially how you're connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is really about allocating some time to really deeply connect with the bits of ourselves that we have neglected for so long. And we don't take the time to connect with those, because everything's happening all the time and we're so busy. And then in these nights we get even busier, and so we get thrown off the trail, and it's really difficult. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself in the Quran through those 99 attributes and many other things. But one of the most used attributes, one of the most effective ways that he uses the way that he describes himself is the Rahman, he is Rahma. I mean, you know, the amount of times that we say this, we still can't do justice to what he's saying, that he is Rahim. He has his Rahman, mercy, literally encompasses all things. This is actually an ayah of the Quran. So if we can spend some time reflecting on those blessings, when we are counting our blessings, the wonderful things that are happening, that generates a feeling of how good life actually is, how grateful we actually are. And we know that gratitude is a life-changing concept. And I do want to talk about gratitude in a little bit, but just to say that spend some time simply talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, do the amals, absolutely do the amals, please. Like, don't neglect those. If you want to do them, please do them. But give a segment of your evening, of your nights, just conversing, mostly talking about your triggers, because that's really important. What hurts you the most? What takes you off the track for you? Confess to him the desires and the things that pull you away. Tell him about those, because who else are you going to tell, right? And those triggers are really, I guess I'm addressing the youth more than the elders, but it goes for anybody who resonates. Let's say that you're triggered by your mother or your father a lot, right? They don't seem to get you, and you're constantly in clashes with them, and you wish they would get off your back and they would let you breathe a little and stop being like there all the time and having things their way. That's a real difficult place to be, right? It's not an easy, in a household, it's not a nice place to be. This trigger isn't a small thing, right? It comes from a deep wound somewhere within that hasn't been looked at, that hasn't been recognized or healed or talked about or anything. Look at this night as the place where you can see this as an opportunity to open up the one who is the turner of your heart and the turner of your parents' hearts also. Like the Lord that affects everything. Tell Allah how difficult it is. Cry with Allah how difficult it is, how much you're trying, how exhausted you feel, how guilty you feel when he knows your secrets, and he knows even more than what your secrets are, even more hidden than that, right? So ask Allah to give you the strength to let go, to forgive. Forgiving starts with your own self first and foremost. It's a byproduct of healing. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness isn't something that you just do because you've said it. It really is about you healing yourself. So, that younger version of yourself that expected a certain way for you with your parents didn't happen. Those needs that didn't get met, now that is turned into a wound. That is what's causing these clashes. Ask Allah to help you understand that your mother or your father, when they were a little girl, like you were deprived, they were also in that place. They were also in that vulnerable space where they didn't know, or they didn't get with what they were expecting or their needs met. This vastness and this opening up of being able to understand what is killing you on the inside, if you have those intimate conversations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on these nights, they will truly shift something on the inside of you, because you are having the most closest conversation with the one who has the power to change absolutely everything. It is essential to do some self-work on these nights. It's not just about off the tongue, just saying things, and ask for the tawfiq. You need to open up, and the doors are already open. We're just not seeing them. We don't see it as an opportunity because we're so caught up with just the ritualistic aspect of it. Build a partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think that's a really good way of doing it. Strike a deal with him. If you don't understand like the connection aspect, you probably understand business aspect. Do a business deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Say to him, you know what, this is what I need resolving. I'm telling you this from experience, because that day that I climbed up on top of the mountain and I did that deal, I was like, you've got to show me, because I'm at the end. I don't know anything anymore. And he presented me with the most powerful quote, which changed the course of my life and is changing the course of many other people's lives. It can happen to anybody. We just have to have the utmost authentic sincerity when we ask. So strike a deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night, where he says it's the night of your destiny. It's an open invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What more are we asking for? Which other banquet will we go to be served in the way that today we are being asked to serve? And last, very quick, sorry, Zakir Shahroz, I feel like I'm robbing you of your time, and I really don't mean to do that. But gratitude. Having gratitude means that it's honestly, it's life-changing. It is life-changing. If we can have that as a blueprint, we hear about it a lot, but we don't genuinely think about it. And a lot of the times there is an internal, at a subconscious level, there is an internal a resistance when it comes to gratitude. And this is again to do with an association, the relationship we have with gratitude. When we were younger, perhaps when we weren't eating our peas and broccolis, we were told that, do you not know kids in Africa and kids in this country and that country are starving and you're so ungrateful? And so the association that we end up building isn't that of beauty, right? Just because you have something, it doesn't mean that if you're not grateful for that thing, that you're everything else that you have, you're neglecting that. So just rebuilding that. And there is this trend on TikTok called the lucky girl syndrome. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I talk a lot about gratitude. So I was hearing about this so many times, and I thought, let's see what this is. Lucky girl syndrome, it's started from a non-believer, two girls, and they basically talk about going about their day. First thing in the morning, they wake up and they say, I'm such a lucky girl, everything always works out for me. I'm such a lucky girl, everything always works out. And then they go out and they do their thing. And they start to notice that actually everything is working out for them. And they use that in their day. And every time something, even the tiniest thing, like finding a nice parking space or something like that is happening to them, they're saying, I'm such a lucky girl. What this is, and I try to think about this, the psychology behind this, and why is this working for even non-believers? Well, it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that when we are grateful, ask me and I will give you more. But the gratitude isn't just monotone gratitude, like alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It's a felt experience. That is the key. Dua has the power to change your life, but it's got to be a felt experience. It's twofold. I always say dua isn't, our ulama say, if your marriage is breaking down, make dua. If your business is breaking down, make dua. If your career isn't working out, dua is very powerful. Dua alone, Allah did not say, tie your camel and have tawakkul. Those two things, the action bit, your feeling-based dua and your action both have such a power to change and shift absolutely everything in your life. And if you want, I could give you some practical tips on what that looks like in terms of actually feeling and then taking action. But yeah, I think that it's a life-changing opportunity for us, and we really ought to utilize it as that, inshallah.
What I find is that I think our relationship with Allah can be very simple. It is actually very simple in a way, and yet it is very complex. I think when I look at it personally, and I think on one stage, if you are at a stage in life whereby it's very simple, you are just trying to find that gratitude, like for example, Sister Osma, that you're talking about, or you're confused about something and you're just trying to find that that answer or vibes. It's very simple. You submit to him. It's all about submission. You submit to him, and then you see these signs, and they open up the door for you. And then I think, then you come to a stage whereby you have gone up the level in Allah's eyes. Your taqwa hopefully is getting better. You're getting stronger. And then your relationship with Allah is a little bit more complex, I feel, because sometimes you are asking and you're thinking, Allah, I've been praying for this and I've been asking for this continuously, and yet nothing is happening. So you can look at it as, of course, things are not manifesting as you are sort of saying, but that's because in that Allah saying to you, I want you to grow. I don't want to give you because I'm taking you somewhere. Just trust me. I can so easily give it to you. We can make it so simple. What you want, I can just offer it to you. All the answers are there. I can show them to you. But if I'm not showing them to you, it's because I'm taking you somewhere else, because I think your value is so much higher. And on this journey of staying with me and trusting me without me giving you the answer straight away, You know, there is such a deep connection, I think, that you're forming, and that levels of your connection with Allah is never limited. I mean, you can never say, I have it, that's it, I've formed the connection with Allah. Every time, you know, you go a notch higher, and the beauty of your relationship with Him is just, you know, you can just sit on the musalla and cry and just think, I don't need to say anything to you, my Allah. I don't even need anymore to ask for anything from you. You know, the fact that I need something from you, it's submission. It is just that love for you and submission. It's like, you know what's in my heart, whether you want to give it to me or not. It's totally okay and fine for me, because all I want is you, my Lord, you know. So to reach, I think, that stage, you know, these are the nights of Qadr when I feel like we should be really working on these kind of feelings, you know, towards when we sit and speak to Allah and feel this physical way of feeling the love. You know, it's so physical. It's like that hug. It's like somebody squeezing you tight and hugging you, and you can feel Allah's love. Now, to move from here, Sister Shairoz, because we are running out of time, this time that we're talking about, there is something very powerful around us happening. Apart from the nights of Qadr, we've also had, and I want to just ask you whether this has any connection or is it just simply a coincidence. We've had, you know, Passover, we've had Easter. So all people of faith, especially in an environment that is, you know, faithless often, we've all come together during the same weekend when we are all reflecting on spirituality. Do you think that there is a message in there? Is there just a coincidence, or is it, you know, is there something special in this connection?
MashaAllah, it's definitely something very beautiful happening when all the monotheistic religions are commemorating something or other that is extremely special in their faith and all coming together. It's a cause for unity for sure, that we all realize we're all, you know, all loving God, all of us, and all of us are awaiting the awaited one. The Christians are definitely in this Easter weekend talking about the second coming and about the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and we are also remembering Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahum Sharif when we're talking about the angels descending upon the earth, this being the night of decree, this when our Nime Amal are being sent to Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahum Sharif, where he is the Imam of the time, able to intercede and really, inshallah, change our destiny for us. And then we've got this aspect of Laylatul Qadr happening, where Imam Ali alayhi salam was martyred on this particular date. And very interestingly, Imam Hassan alayhi salam has said that Nabi Isa went up into the heavens. As we know, Hazrat Isa was not crucified, but that he was taken up to the heavens so that he'll come back with Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahum Sharif. Imam al-Hassan says that Nabi Isa alayhi salam went to the heavens on the 21st night of the month of Mahi Ramadan. This means that Imam Ali alayhi salam and Nabi Isa alayhi salam are sharing this particular special night of Laylatul Qadr, where they both went into the heavens the same night. And this is from reliable sources from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, that this was the night in which Hazrat Isa was lifted up to the heavens and blood sprouted from every stone that was lifted from the ground until the morning. And this happened on the days of the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So there is something significant happening on this 21st of Ramadan, being the night of Laylatul Qadr. And the 8th Imam has also talked about this, the 21st of Ramadan, Hazrat Isa, who lived for 33 years. He was not killed or crucified, Imam says, but he was raised while there were 9,313 angels with him. So the 313 number comes, Imam Zamana is being mentioned this night in the Laylatul Qadr Surah. And then we've got Imam Ali alayhi salam also. And Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, he mentions that on the 19th is when the list of the pilgrims is written down. So this destiny of, you know, who will get to, and that's why the du'as that we're reciting on that night are about, you know, write my name down for those who will go to the to the Kaaba and who will be able to visit the holy shrines. And Imam, the fifth Imam says, then the 21st is when the successors to the prophets passed away. Nabi Isa alayhi salam was raised to heaven. Musa also has passed away, whereas the 30th and the 23rd is the Laylatul Qadr. So these nights there is something very special about them. And Imam Sadiq has said that the 23rd of the month of Ramadan is the one where every weighty matter is decided, the trials, tribulations, everything that are coming for this human being. So, and he says that Allah will order an angel to call out during each and every day of the holy month of Ramadan, conveying Allah's message to us. The good news, my servants, I have forgiven your past sins and permitted some of you to intercede on behalf of the rest on Laylatul Qadr. Except, those, there are only some people who will not be accepted, those who will be, God forbid, breaking their fast with an intoxicant, or those who, interestingly, bear a grudge against another Muslim brother. So the aspect of being with the community also comes into play here, that much Laylatul Qadr is about a night of really, spending time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all night and really speaking to him, not just asking, by the way. This is about conversation. It's about talking about our love for him and our fears and our hopes. Laylatul Qadr night is a feast for the spirit, actually. It's a feast of worship and prayers. It's also being with other people, about eating with them and also shedding tears with them on the night of the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's also a feast that comes with a message that it's not too late, that he can forgive and we can catch up, and that he can give us more than we can imagine. It's a special night. And I want to just quickly, in the last few minutes, we have very few minutes left, but I don't want to leave without saying this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about this holy month, he mentions what this is all about when he says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. So this fasting has been prescribed to the others before us, Nabi Isa's people, Nabi Musa's people, because it is incredible. It's important. What does it do? لَأَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. It is so that you can attain righteousness. This taqwa is what this whole month is about. And that means that this night is about remaining awake so that we can invoke this taqwa inside us. But this whole month is about the acts of meditation, acts of chanting, acts of ritual prayers, which cannot be looked as trivial. These are very important. They put us into a certain state of ecstasy. When you do these 100 rakah, you become lost in some other realm, and if you allow it to. And then of course there's the physical acts of charity, and then the du'as such as dua makarim al-akhlaq, dua Hamza Somali, munajat of Imam Ali, dua nudba, because we want to connect with the Imam of Asr, and also dua kumail and dua toba. Of course, also let's not forget those 15 duas, the whispered duas in Sayfai Sajadiyah. Also learn about fiqh rules, and definitely those 3 surahs, Surah Ankabut, Surah Rum, Surah Dukan, Joshne Kabir, and asking ourselves, see, the night has to be broken up into 3 parts. Also, that part for meditation, asking ourselves, who am I? Who do I wish to be? Where do I wish to go? How do I get there? It's a time to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then very quickly about wasila. When we talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam in these particular nights, there is a reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put these days of martyrdom for us to be also crying, because we're fasting and then also doing tears. This azadari is part of ibadah. So Allah has, alhamdulillah, added this for us. And then when you look at this ayah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wabtahu ilayhi wasilata wajahidu fi sabilihi la'allakum tuflihun. O believers, be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this word wasila comes in. Seek what brings you close to him. In that wasila, we have Imam Ali alayhi salam, and also Allah saying struggle in his way. Wajahidu fi sabilihi. Keep doing the struggle. Why? So that you can get close to Allah and get successful. So just like salah is a wasila to bring us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are wasila to bring us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The night of Laylatul Qadr, the nights are also a wasila. a way to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to do whatever we can to get to that point. Dividing our nights into three parts, and not those three, but the last 10 days. Anyone, Allah has actually hidden these nights of Qadr in them. So they are for gaining knowledge. So we read the Nahjul Balagha, do tadabbur of ayah, etc. And the other night part is meditation, and the third is that you're also connecting with Salatul Layl, with the Nawafil and the Subha prayer. Yes, that's a tall order, but if we have a whole month to do this, and the last few days, especially when we feel that time is running out, we should really push and try to get those last few things. Have a bucket list for Maha Ramadan and really try to do things that we haven't
Inshallah.
done.
Yeah, inshallah. And I think I just wanted to pick on one thing that you mentioned about the importance of the community and, being amongst people. Is I think, we get very comfortable being us, the society we live in specifically. Anybody who doesn't make you feel a bit comfortable with yourself, you'd rather not be with them. We are comfortable, especially post-COVID, we became very comfortable sitting in our homes, in our, listening to majalis on our comfortable sofas and, eating properly. And I think for me personally, I used to go to mosque a lot, and then I started becoming less and less for various different reasons. And we all know what happens. And then suddenly I started going, and I just felt like there is this amazing miracle in the way Allah connects you to your people and to your community. And on these nights of Shab Qadr, for example, when we start imploring Allah, and there is this one loud voice of everybody's, voices talking to Allah, it just makes you sit down for a minute and say, despite all our differences, and sometimes people annoying you and sometimes frustrating you, I mean, this is my community. These are the people with which I share this love of my Lord, this imploring of my God, and it just brings real warmth and love into your hearts. And for those of us maybe who sometimes avoid too much, this is a lesson to partake, that you cannot remove yourself from the community of believers and lovers. Final question, Sister Uzma, before we wrap up, is we've talked about a lot of feelings in this episode, our love for God, love for people, and I'm very conscious of the fact that there is a group of people out there who are suffering from severe mental health or certain different levels of mental health. For a lot of these people, they are really numb. And one of the biggest difficulty they have is feeling anything. People like that, for them, how tricky are these kind of days? And especially listening to, for example, us talking about how deeply we feel, and for them to feel like, gosh, I don't feel anything. And yet Allah's love is there for them too, more so for them than anyone else. What would you be saying to them, if they're listening to you? The nights of Qadr are for them more than anyone else.
Yeah, no, I relate to that. I've been in that place where I was alive but totally dead. So I totally get it, and I know that there are so many people, especially young people, even some quite old people, that just cannot. And we can all fall into that category at any time. So no one can vouch that we've reached somewhere and we can build that connection anytime. We can, our hearts are changing and minds are changing the state at all times. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam given it connotation to the clothing that we wear. It changes like we change our clothing, and that's a scary thought to have, because at any point when you feel like you've gotten somewhere, you can slip right back off. So we all need to be vigilant, but particularly for people who are feeling numb. Of course, I'm always going to go back to the fact that there is something inside of you that needs healing. But obviously on this specific night, there is not a lot you can do in terms of healing. That would have to be like a structured way of moving out of what you're facing. And you have to reach out for help. That's the first thing I want to say as a caveat, that if you're feeling that numb, know that there is a blockage for a reason. This is nothing but a defense mechanism. Your mind has come up with this to protect you, to keep you safe, because it doesn't want to feel what it's felt before. So now it's disassociated with those memories that are so painful and so hard to feel, that it said, you know what, we're just going to leave those aside, because I really don't know what to do with them. My job is to keep you surviving. So we're just going to shut that off completely, and we're just going to, keep surviving. So we get really, really numb over time with that. So if you are feeling like this, there is a lot of healing to do. Please reach out. But on a night like this, not to miss an opportunity. If you are feeling that pull and guilt, then I think one of the biggest missed opportunities is the harmonizing of mind and the heart. You know, if we just keep it really, really simple and meditate, because one of the segments of tonight is really about meditation. It's really about stillness. It's really about presence, because our mind is usually worrying about either the future or worrying about what's happened in the past. And these two places are not right now. They are taking us away from the current state, the current moment, the right now. Like in this moment, there's Zakira Shairoz, there's you, Sister Sakina, there's myself. We're talking about the love of God. We're talking about Laylatul Qadr. This is such a beautiful, powerful, amazing moment. And anybody who's listening to me right now, anybody who's heard any words today, if they have gone through your ears, these waves, and if they are landing into your hearts, they're not a coincidence. I often say this in most of my talks. None of this is a coincidence. You are listening to this because you are meant to be listening to this. And if you are listening to this, then my dear brother or sister, whoever you are, please sit silently. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. If you're that numb that you can't do anything, like you can't function, then just sit silently and take deep breaths. Just really, really try to connect. Even visualize the heart, where your heart is. You can even put your hand on your heart and your mind. Like visualize, you know what your brain looks like. You can even visualize it like a brain, and the heart, what the physical heart looks like. You can see it like an illuminating golden string or light, something that connects these two, and try to bring them in harmony, because one is somewhere else and the other one is somewhere else. The other thing is somewhere else. And whilever these two are not in harmony, whilever they are not, you know, on the same page, we are always going to feel very, very lost. And so try your hardest to try to bring yourself to the present moment and really you know, if it's sometimes it's really hard to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we can't visualize what entity are we connecting with, like how. So if you are feeling like that, if I say to you the word love, the first person or the first thing or the first object that comes to your mind, that thing, use that and anchor that in your mind to create the feeling of love, to at least start the feeling of love, and then try to spread that, try to expand that. I do meditation around this. I you know, if anybody needs that kind of support, do let me know. I can send that to you. But this coherence of mind and heart, and this spreading of love, gratitude, and the compassion that we absolutely hold inside of ourselves. None of you are without it, by the way, because you hold the spirit of our God inside of you. You hold the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside of you. There's no way you don't have those things. It's just that they're hiding because you're protecting yourself. That's your way of keeping that authenticity away, because it's you know, it's where it's hurt you the most. So just bringing that love, that affection, that gratitude, whatever entity you can find that connection with, use that as an anchoring point and then spread it. And then think about, you know, even see yourself floating up into the clouds, or whatever helps you to really try to come into this moment so purely, so focused that your breath is used. You know, when we take a deep breath, we are actually sending a message to our body that we are safe, because most of the times we are in that flight, fight, freeze mode because we're fighting chaos in here. But if we can just send that message tonight that I am safe, I'm in the hands of the Lord who has control over absolutely everything, including everything that's going on inside, around me, everything. So I'm going to place the trust in whoever that entity is. And I'm gonna let go of trying to control whatever I think I need to control, because I can't control it. So I'm just gonna let go of the expectation and just totally melt into this moment. Allow that to connect with the ultimate one. Inshallah, I could go on and on about this, but you know, just as a basic, I think just spending some time really calming down and
let's not forget that this holy night, even just remaining awake
100%
is a blessing. Even breathing in this holy month is a tasbih, every breath. So just realize that just being in this holy month is blessings upon blessings. And some of us, whether we're busy or whether we're just not emotionally there this particular month or day, it's all right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes that into account. He knows what we are going through more than anyone, closer to us than our jugular vein. So if we cannot be doing what others are, inshallah, next year we will be. But the rest of the year is also full of beautiful nights as well. The nights of Shaban, the nights of Rajab, there are nights of Muharram. There's all types of opportunities. Not every year is the same. So if this year, God forbid, if it was a low year, that's okay. inshallah Allah gives us. And that's a dua we can do, that Allah next year give me the opportunity to be in the here and now, and to be able to really do the ibadah that I crave to do and to want to experience.
Thank you very much. And I really believe that, I don't think that we, in our limited understanding, we see the laws and lack. But I don't think that there is any moment in which Allah sees us in any manner as a law, because even when we're not feeling anything, and even if, that is part of Him. He has put you in that position for a reason. So I don't think that Allah thinks of any one of us having a low moment, because every moment of our lives have a meaning. And with that, sisters, I feel like, after this heart-to-heart discussion, I just feel like my heart is so open now, and we are so ready to sit tomorrow, in the presence of our Lord, talking of our amazing Imam, and, asking from our God, rather just talking to Him and just feeling that love from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I ask you all to remember us all in your du'as, but also let's all remember each other. Like we said, there are people who are not able to talk to Allah for themselves. They are not able to, for whatever reason, they are not able to connect. And that is why we are an ummah, which is why the pain of, any one of us should be felt by all of us. So before we ask for anything for ourselves, let's remember each other. And the biggest dua you can ask for anyone, I believe, is for them to find their connection with Allah. Because if you have that, you have everything. You don't need anything else in life. And with that, thank you so much for listening to us today, and spending these amazing nights to be part of our discussions. Thank you, Sister Uzma. Thank you, Sister Shairos. And thank you all for watching. Khuda Hafiz.